Welcome to Gems of Knowledge podcast. I'm your host, Wendy. Here, we share real-life testimonies and experiences with God, and we learn together that He is near, that He still speaks to His people, and that He wants to speak to you, giving you your own gems of knowledge. Please welcome my guest and friend, Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hey.
We are going to be talking about some experiences that she's been having that I think will really bless all of us to hear her story and her wisdom in it. So Laura, tell us a little bit about you right now.
Right now?
You're a dental assistant?
I'm a dental assistant. I'm currently going to school, hopefully one day soon, to get into hygiene school. So that's the plan. That's pretty much all I do is work in school.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like every time I get in touch with you and we talk or something, it's work in school.
Yeah.
Or you're tired. You're always tired because you work so hard.
I know. My brain just wants to shut off toward the end of the day. I just want to turn my phone off and not talk to anybody.
Yeah. Very hard worker.
Yeah.
Very, very dedicated.
Yeah.
In fact, her AKA, also known as, would be the Saint.
Oh my gosh, it's not...
The Saint. So this is the Saint, Laura.
Not at all. My sister Autumn thinks that's funny.
Hey, you know what? When she told that to me, I was like, yeah, that fits. That fits. Because seriously, this is one of the most beautiful people.
Oh.
You are a beautiful person.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think you're great. So yeah, we lovingly call her the Saint.
Even though it's completely false, but I appreciate it. I'll take it.
Well, I think you'll start to see why we call her that. But yeah, and you don't have children, but you're married.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have a big giant dog.
I do have a big boy. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Teddy. He's a sweetheart, kind of a troublemaker, but
yeah,
that's my kid technically.
Yeah.
Right now, honestly, he takes up all my spare time.
Yeah.
So
let's get to the touchy subject, if you don't mind.
okay.
So when I first met Laura, it was at a retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the retreat where everyone was bearing their souls, their deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was very intense. And I think you came after me.
And I was sitting right next to you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, you shared, right? In the circle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't share a lot, but I shared.
Yeah. And tell us what you shared, if you don't mind.
I shared that at the time, I think I'd been married for 20 years at the time. And then I was saying, I've been married for 20 years. And my husband is incarcerated. And this is my life. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it led along the lines of letting everyone know that my husband's incarcerated, which led to questions and everything. It was nice though.
Yeah.
The support from all the ladies was amazing. The one thing I remember seeing the most about that retreat was the acceptance of people. There wasn't a lot of judgment. And in the last few years, I've experienced a lot of judgment. So to be in a room full in who I could just say whatever to, and they all just accepted me with love and kindness. It was amazing. It was honestly I'm glad I went, because I wasn't sure if I was going to go, and I'm glad I went because it was amazing. It was so beautiful, and I got to meet you.
I know. I'm glad you went too.
I know. So we got to meet, and I talk about you all the time, so it's been great. Yeah, it was great. It was definitely God-led. I really felt like it was a place I needed to be to meet some spiritual women that I needed to have in my life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I was at the same place.
Yeah.
I didn't have friends at the time, and I felt very just isolated.
Yeah.
And, you feel isolated when you don't have that support system. You carry a lot of weight of past things.
I lost a lot of friends. So getting new friends is big. So I understand that completely.
Yeah. So when she had first shared that, of course, we had some bangers of people sharing around the circle. And most of them, there was some things that kind of streamlined for some of us, childhood abuses and things like that. But there was some whammies that came up. And so there was a lot of differences, but we all shared in the same thing. And that was that we were carrying heavy burdens. Mm-hmm. So it was really nice to have a place where we could release those burdens safely.
Yeah.
And find some healing and find some love and some support. And that was a really great thing that came from that. And I had just, emotionally let loose. Mm-hmm. So I was, and then when you shared right after me, I was kind of in my own place. But when you said what you said, I was like, wow. And I think that I'm struggling. Mm-hmm. And I guess God gives us what we can handle.
Yeah.
But I was so impressed with you. He
has a lot of faith in what I can handle.
In what you do handle. You handle it with grace.
I try.
But we never talked about it really in depth. Like, we talked a little bit about it. But some of those things you just aren't really comfortable asking the details,
Yeah.
Because you don't know what I should ask and what I shouldn't ask. And it's the same with some of my other friends, like in the last episode with Leslie. I don't know if you remember Leslie from Dream Big Today, but her son had died. And so she carried a lot of grief. I knew her son died. Mm-hmm. She had shared little bits here and there, but I never really asked her about it, to open up about it.
Yeah.
But I knew she carried it. And I've watched God healing her, and that was why I had her on the podcast, to share. But I've seen you really just endure with such grace. And, it's easy to say, oh, wow, her husband's in prison. But I think we all know somebody close, fairly close in our circle of family or friends that is facing. Mm-hmm. And I personally, just a few months ago, had a family member who was going in. And so I called you. And because you have fear, there's a lot of fear. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of emotion. And then, for me, because it wasn't directly affecting me, it wasn't my husband, but, I felt for the family. I felt such compassion, and I'm like, what can we do to help? And what can we expect? Mm. And you started sharing some really beautiful things with me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta have this girl on, because you are such a blessing. I think the words you're gonna share are such a blessing for people. So let's kind of just go back to the beginning, if you don't mind, and share how your journey started for you and your husband.
Well, he was the popular kid, and I was not. I met him when I was 15, and he was 16, and it's so embarrassing, but there was this club that was for teenagers, under 18 and under or something like that, growing up, and he was there. All the kids around the area were there, and I saw him, and I was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot, and I hit on him. And I'm not gonna go into all the details, but I hit on him, and pretty much he called me the next day. So I hit on him, put the ball in his court, and he contacted me and asked me out on a date, and it was kind of,
And you've been together ever
We've
since?
been together ever since. Yeah, we broke up, because you're in high school and you're drama, but we broke up for a year and a half, maybe a year and a half in high school, and then got back together. I wasn't actually supposed to be in town. My brothers were coming into town, and at literally the last minute, 15 minutes before they were leaving, I said I wanted to go ahead and go with them, and I came to town with them for the weekend, and ran into him
Oh.
and talked with him. And the next thing I know, there was a note on my sister's porch where I was staying with a rose from him saying that he missed me and he wanted to be back together and if we could give it another shot. So it was like, if I think about it, I have been led to him since, and I really feel like he's my soulmate, and I feel like there's a lot of people who don't get to be lucky enough to meet and share their lives with their soulmate so young. Yeah. And I've been very blessed to have that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much just how we met and got back together and been together ever since.
Well, I remember when I finally did call you and we were talking about it and you were sharing, I'm like, how can you do it? And that's what you said. I have no choice. He's my soulmate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my soulmate. And when God brings you together and you love someone that much, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And then it's so easy to say, oh, you got to move on and you got to find somebody else and your life will be better and all of these things.
Yeah.
But it's really not what God says.
Yeah.
God says, I actually have it on my phone. I wanted to share it. In Matthew chapter 25, it talks about the final judgment. And when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels are with him, then he will sit upon the glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep at his right hand and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Sorry, I'm getting so emotional.
You're fine. It can be a very emotional topic.
This is the first time I've really gotten emotional like this. And I think about that. So then the heart of God, right? Mm-hmm. And what God would do, what God wants us to do. But it's so easy in the world to go the opposite way. Mm-hmm. And that's some of the things that you had shared that really touched my heart. Is you talked about how people carry this shame. Mm-hmm. You want to share about that?
Well, obviously, I don't know exactly. There's, like we were talking about before, there's a stigma over people who are incarcerated, who've committed crimes and all of that. There's also a stigma on the people who support them. And I never felt shame in regards to my husband. I'm trying to figure out how to say this exactly. I don't feel shame for my husband being incarcerated. Other people feel shame for me.
The world wants you to feel shame.
Yeah, and it feels, there's judgment, and that's fine, But I freely talk about my husband being incarcerated. Mm-hmm. I don't just bring it up in conversation, Sure. But if someone's like, "Hey, what does your husband do?" And I go, "Well, currently, he's in school and he's doing ministry in the prison system." "Oh yeah, where?" Then I'll tell him where, and then we get into the conversation of like, "Well, my husband's actually an inmate, and this is what he does there." He is definitely not just sitting idly by doing nothing. He is working. He is encouraging others to seek God. This is where my husband has my husband has always been drawn to God. He has always had like this pull for it, and he never fully understood it. He got incarcerated, and he didn't really have much else to do, and so he poured into the Word of God, and he has never left it. It is the biggest part of his life. He shares it with everyone around him. He does Bible studies there. People come to him to study the Bible. They want him to teach them about the Bible and everything. That's awesome. The shame is not there. Anyone can say what they want. I don't care.
Other people think there should be, or they feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know my husband feels it.
Sure.
I know he's there and he feels it, but
which, that's totally understandable. I think all of us at some point feel shame for our sin.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we are. But he's having to face it over and over and over again. Every single day.
Every day he wakes up to it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that it's almost unbearable really to think about. But I remember we were talking one time about baptism. Mm-hmm. And you told me that you got baptized because he wanted to get baptized or something, right? Wasn't it something, your husband was the one that really kind of...
He wanted to get baptized.
Yeah.
Before we got married.
Before you got married.
And he didn't want to do it alone. So I did it with him.
Yeah. So he has always had that pull and heart for God. So what happened? What happened that got him where he is?
So my husband was born with a hip dysplasia of some sort, or that, I'm not sure. And when he was younger, so when he was little, he had surgery on it. And as he got older, his hip has on and off bothered him. And he was a lineman and climbing poles for years at a time. Took a toll on him, and he started having a lot of problems with his hip. It would just kind of pop out, fall. Like he would, he'd sometimes have to walk with a cane. It was becoming an issue. And he went to the doctor, I don't know, hoping for some kind of relief, hoping for something, maybe to see if something could be done. And they told him he needed a hip replacement at some point, but he was too young because he's in his 20s.
Wow. In his 20s. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And, so they sent him to a pain specialist. Pain specialist does what a pain specialist does and put him on medication.
Painkillers.
Mm-hmm. And I still remember the first time he took some when he was at home, and I thought he was drunk. He slurred really bad, and he's like, "No, I just took my medicine." And it kind of took from there. It was at the time when they were not telling people that, hey, this drug is highly addictive.
I have family members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's highly addictive, and you have to manage it. Mm-hmm. And, some people can't manage it or didn't know at the time that they needed to manage it. And so it was, honestly, from the time he started, it was within 2 years. He lost his job. He was not himself. There were plenty of times, honestly, when he would talk to me and I was wondering if he even knew he was talking to me.
Wow.
It was just very much gone.
Wow.
And I'm honestly, we're lucky that he's still alive with the amount that he kept having to take in order to reach that high after a while. And he ended up.
Which is why a lot of people end up turning to harder things like heroin and stuff like that and end up, overdosing on the streets homeless.
Yep.
It's
really bad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And my husband's always been like, he's such a hard worker. He wanted to do exactly what his papa did growing up, which was provide for his family. He wanted me to stay home and us have kids and all of that. And it didn't get to happen. It didn't get to happen. So.
Yeah. And so then what happened from there?
He lost his job, obviously, which meant he lost his insurance. and he could only get
And his income.
We had a house at the time, and I was the only one working, and he made double what I made, so it was tough. And you can only take so many things out of the house to sell to get money before people start to notice. And he started taking from other people, and this is what led him to it. He saw an elderly woman leaving her house. Her garage door was open, and his intent was to, I don't know, get some stuff to sell. I'm not really sure.
Money but something to sell.
Yeah. And
maybe some drugs in the cabinet.
Yeah,
medicine
something.
cabinet.
Yeah. Ended up getting caught and being sentenced to 25 years for first offense.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when you first told me that, it was mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I've prayed a lot. I'm like, I remember this one time I was driving to church. I think your sister was going to preach that day. And I was driving to go watch her. And I was worshiping and music was on loud, and you guys came up in my mind, and I started praying for you, and I just started weeping, and I was like, why, God? Why? Like, her whole life is up, that both of their lives are just on hold, and they're just hanging on to each other, doing what they can to make it. How long? And why did it have to be 25 years, And I kind of looked into it. The national average for the crime that he was sentenced for is 11 years. That's the national average sentencing length, is 11 years, even for people that it's not their first offense. And this was his first offense, and he got 25 years? Like, this is mind-blowing to me. How does this even happen?
I don't know, because there's a lot of different cases of what people would deem as worse crimes getting less time.
Yeah. Because his crime, he ended up actually getting sentencing, and I think it was burglary with a weapon or something. And when I asked you about it, he never entered with a weapon. So there was no...
He didn't go with a weapon.
Yeah, he didn't enter into this crime, into this situation with a weapon.
Right.
So it was spur of the moment. It wasn't pre-planned or anything. It was just happenstance, right? It's circumstantial, like, oh, she's leaving. The garage is open. I'm going to go see. And then when he went through the garage, he grabbed...
Pruning shears. That were in the garage.
Pruning shears.
Yeah.
Probably so that he could maybe break a lock if he had to, or cut something open if he had to. I mean, pruning shears, you don't grab pruning shears if you're going to hurt somebody.
I mean, I don't know. He wasn't really in his right mind, so it's kind of like, who knows?
Yeah.
But my husband wasn't like this.
He wasn't violent.
He wasn't like this crazy violent person.
Right.
He was a protective person, and he wouldn't back down from a fight, but he didn't go like out into the world just seeking violence,
Right.
So, no.
And so then when he entered, if I understand correctly, the house wasn't empty like he thought.
Yeah.
So he went in thinking the house was empty because she left, and it wasn't. Her husband was in the home, right? And I'm just going based off of the little bit that I heard. It was from somebody else, your sister, so I don't know. One of your sisters. Because I know several of your sisters. But she had said that when he was leaving, she had come back in. Like, she had arrived back home. Is that... And he was running out. He was running out and... like ran into her in the garage and knocked her down as he was running out. And they made it sound like he assaulted her.
Yeah.
When really it was kind of an accident. He just knocked her down on his way out. even if it was, I mean, if I was in a panic doing something like that and I'm trying to get out, I would even be apt to like push him out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, yeah, I gotta get out of here, right? But it wasn't intent to harm. I mean, if he wanted to harm her, he could have really harmed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not how they portrayed it.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
of course,
it's hard. When I think, if I think about it too much, I can start to get really mad about it.
Of course.
And not mad at God, just mad at people.
Right.
Just mad at people.
Just the injustice of it.
Yeah, just,
the injustice of it, and that they would, I mean, I could understand being a victim and feeling violated.
Yeah.
But to make it out to be that he was such a vicious person when he's not.
Yeah.
That's really not right. In fact, that's against what God says to do too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, no bearing false witness.
Exactly. I was just thinking
that's one of the foundational 10. Come on, people. Foundational 10.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mind blowing. 25 years. And they haven't even considered looking at it again, reevaluating, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a very close family member. It's so easy to just jump to judging people.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a close family member that her husband got addicted to drugs, and he was he was loved by the family, greatly loved.
Mm-hmm.
And he, because of this addiction, it just becomes so overbearing, overwhelming, consuming, right? It really starts to consume.
Yeah.
That he started stealing from family members and things like that. And he didn't get caught and go to prison. He ended up taking his own life. Because he couldn't handle the guilt and the shame of it. And it breaks my heart because his wife, who is our close family member, I mean, she loved him so much that she was like you, right? She would do anything to try and help him through this. Come on, baby, we can get through this. We'll get through this. Let me help you.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing after him, trying to find him, trying to help him, loving him to the end with all that she had. And then he just lost his battle with it, And so it's easy to stand back and judge somebody else because you haven't walked in their shoes. But I think of the adulterous woman. I'm sorry, I'm a mess.
You're fine.
I think of the adulterous woman, and they wanted to stone her to death, which we oftentimes want to stone people to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
With our judgment and our words and our shaming and guilting and everything we do. And what did the Lord say? He drew a line in the dirt, in the sand, and said, though you without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're all guilty. Every one of us is guilty. And most of us are guilty of crimes that probably could have put us in prison. We just didn't get caught. And then we want to write it off as we were young, we were dumb. I was a different person back then. But then we want to hold it against somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did get caught.
When they were also young.
And dumb. And a different person. That's my point. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Quick to do that.
So what are some of the hardest realities that you've faced that people don't often talk about?
It's funny because it's also normal for me now. It's hard to pinpoint exactly. Personally, things that are hard are, the normal, like holidays, times with family, all the little things that you would get to share that aren't there anymore. You're not able to share it the same way. I'm a little more on, I can tell. It happens every year. It's still, time has not made this fade. But around the holidays, going into like October, into Christmas area, I'm a little more of a grump, I guess I would say.
You're already an introvert.
Yeah.
You're a grumpy introvert.
Yeah, it's worse. It's because those were some of the best memories I have with my husband and my family together is then.
Of course.
And not just for the holidays. Like, we loved all the stuff Halloween. We'd go to all the little things and, now he doesn't get to take his niece and nephew to go trick-or-treating like he would have before. And Thanksgiving is probably one of the easier ones because I can just eat myself into a food coma and I don't have, But Christmas is hard. Probably all of December. But I try not to let it, but it does. I can tell it affects me still. Mostly because Christmas is one of my husband's favorite holidays. It was really big in his family, especially all of us going to like his grandparents' house, and now both of his grandparents are gone. That's hard because his grandma passed away literally, I want to say it was a day or two after he was sentenced.
Wow.
And he was really close to her. And
wow.
The time he was out on bail, he spent almost every moment with her. She was diagnosed with dementia, so he would go over there and he would spend all day with her. All day. So I'm glad he got to have that time with her.
Yeah.
He did not get to have that time with his papa, who was like his main male figure in his life growing up. And so that was hard. I was really close to his grandpa too. He's a big part of our lives, and he doesn't get to be there for the funerals. He doesn't get to say his goodbyes. Papa was that's hard.
Is his family supportive?
Yeah, they are. They're very supportive. They always ask about him. They're supportive in their own way because, they all have their own life and kids and all that.
And the longer that time goes on, the less they cross your mind.
This is true, and that was one of my husband's fears, honestly.
Yeah.
He said people are going to forget about me, and I was like, no, they're not going to forget about you. And he was thinking out of sight, out of mind. They're going to forget. And I'm like, they
get caught up. Because even friends that we do see on occasion, you just get caught up in life or family.
Mm-hmm.
I have family members that I haven't talked to in years.
Yeah.
Because they're just out of sight, out of mind, like you said.
Yeah.
And we get busy with our own lives and our own families and jobs and all the things that it's really holidays that kind of bring it up. And you're like, oh, yeah, how is he? And you're like, I deal with this every day. This is your struggle every day.
I'm their reminder.
You're their reminder.
Yeah. When they see me, they always ask about him. So seeing me evokes the memory of my husband and honestly, a lot of his cousins will send them pictures of the kids so he can see them. And things like that.
And the cool thing is you can text him and stuff
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can text him and I can send him.
every day?
Yeah. Yeah, I can text him every day.
I think you get one phone call every day too, don't you? In the evening, 6 o'clock or something?
Yeah, we usually, it varies.
Because you came over for my birthday last year. And
he called.
He called.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have their tablets in there, things, and It's honestly really awesome. It's called Securus. And, I mean, it's got to be connected both ways, and it's got to be at the facility that they're at and everything. But yeah, we can text. Everything's monitored.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So, which is fine. Who cares?
Sure.
But we can send texts. I can send him emails. I can send him videos, pictures. We can talk. Yeah, it's really great. I love the texting aspect of it because, it almost brings like that when he was here, and if I just needed a quick text, I could just,
Yeah.
So that it's convenient to have that. So they're making strides in the prison system to make things more convenient. It's really big for them. Instead of like what's hard for me, what's hard for them is not having support and connection outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing we could do to help rehabilitate them
is to love them.
Is to be supportive. And that shows differently for everybody. It doesn't have to be like financially supportive.
No, just love them as a person. Recognize them.
Yeah.
Let them know that they still have value.
Yeah.
And worth.
Because honestly, I don't know. I've said this multiple times. I don't know where my husband would be. And this isn't like, oh, you're amazing. I don't know where he would be had I left.
Yeah.
Because I am his biggest supporter.
Well, I remember when we were on that phone call for my family member when I called you. You said that one of the struggles that people struggle with the most is when their family, like their wives leave and things like that. And that a lot of the time it's because of outside pressures.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it was easier for you to stay with your husband through it because you had such a strong support system with his family to encourage you to stay.
And mine.
And yours.
Mm-hmm.
To encourage you to stay in the fight, right? Fight the good fight.
Yeah.
Run the race, endure, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people, I would say probably most people, but I don't know statistically, but I would imagine most people don't have that. And so it makes it very, very difficult to continue.
Yeah.
Especially when, you didn't have children, which I'm not saying it makes it easier for you, right? But I'm just thinking if it were me and I have 2 kids and my husband was in prison and they're young and I'm struggling to make it, that I can't, I don't know, but I could see how easy it would be to say, I have to move on. Mm-hmm. We need help in this world. I need support in this world. I need someone who's going to be here for me and the kids. And so I could see how naturally it would be easier to just step away. It would be so much easier for an individual to step away than it would to stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Because those first few years.
But God doesn't always ask us to do what's the easiest thing.
That's right.
And the easiest thing isn't always the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of them, they don't have support. They don't. And
so the inmate doesn't have support. Mm-hmm. The person struggling to be there to support them doesn't have the support. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like y'all are just like out in the middle of the ocean and you're both just barely trying to keep from drowning and you're surrounded by sharks.
Pretty much how it is for a lot of them. Anyone who did not know Tanner and I before would say, wow, you're still together? You're still with him?
How long were you married? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
10 years.
10
we
years
were married
when
10 years.
Okay. And now it's like 20. Okay, so I'm sorry. Anyone who didn't know you before
was surprised that I stayed or that we were still together.
Yeah.
But anyone who knew us was not.
Yeah. Because they knew you were made for each other.
Yeah, it wasn't, honestly, when he got incarcerated and stuff, I was asked, are you going to stay? I did have some people ask that.
Seems like a natural question.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really remember my response in regards to like what exactly I said, but I know it was along the lines of, no, I'm not going anywhere, or I'm going to see this through, or I don't know what's happening, because it was all so new. I didn't know anyone in the prison system. I didn't know anything about it. I had no idea what was going to happen. But the one thing I did end up fully knowing after a little while was that I was not going to leave him. And like my friend Danielle, she was like, I never even questioned if you were going to be there with him or not to the end. And I was like, yeah, well.
Well, and you can say, yeah, I could see it. And you could still have confidence in that person for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've been doing this 12 years? 12 years. So longer than the national sentence.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, those that are even sentenced for that don't serve the whole time.
Right.
And he's served longer than that. And they won't even look at it. That's just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
So I got distracted on that again. Sorry.
You're okay. It's easy. Trust me, it's very easy.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the main things when I talk to people that they go back to the most.
Well, because I'm thinking you've been doing this for 12 years, and he still has 13 years left of this incredibly wild sentence that they gave him. And I mean, you're just moving forward just with such grace. You're like that dedicated soldier that's just going to keep going and keep loving and keep supporting, which is just incredible to me.
I think a lot of people are quick to also just do the easy thing and write off, and
sure,
and not even just in this, just in life in general. And
yep.
Anytime I have done that, it has never panned out well for me. Just taking the easy route has never ended. It doesn't make me more grateful in the end. It doesn't make me happier in the end. So why would I not stay with the one person who actually makes me happy?
Yeah.
He does make me happy. I love my husband to pieces. Absolutely. I love him so much. And I honestly, and if I left them, what? What? Am I leaving to go find someone else that I don't want?
Right.
Like in the end, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I not just stand by him and wait for him to come home? To me, in my circumstances, it is easy to make the choice to stay and to be with him and to love him and support him and all the things. I understand that, and for a lot of people, it's not that. And because I don't have kids.
There's a chance you won't have kids. By the time he gets out or whatever, if he had to serve the whole sentence,
Well, the one and only time I got pregnant with twins. It did not. It didn't last, and I lost them, and that was hard. My husband he was such a great uncle to the kids growing up, and he loved them to pieces, and he would have been an amazing dad. In my 20s, mid-20s, we pretty much found out that I'm pretty much not really fertile. There's a bigger chance of it not happening than it happening. We went through all the steps multiple times to get help to try to have a kid, and it never happened. And one of the things my husband has always wanted was to be a dad. Always. He stayed with me even knowing that we weren't going to be able to have children. And not that adoption wasn't on the table. He just wasn't real warm to the idea of adoption. Mostly because he feared that he wouldn't love the child the same. But when Jaden and Cade came along...
Is that his niece and nephew?
Niece and nephew, when they came along, and I think he kind of saw and felt that love for something that wasn't like technically his.
Right.
He started changing his idea on it, and we were getting close to the idea of adopting. Now that's completely out. We can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's also, we've never understood why we couldn't have children. A lot of the times we feel like it was because we were supposed to be made available for the kids in the family. Well, I don't know. But
and I almost feel like, and I hate to say not being able to have children is a tender mercy, but it's almost with the situation you guys have had to face, it almost is a tender mercy.
No, we don't. It is. Anyone who's in the situation and has kids, that's definitely going to make it harder.
Yeah.
100%. Not having both parents in the house, your kids are growing up and they're becoming teenagers and they're all over the place, and that's not easy to do on your own.
No.
We were never meant to do it on our own.
Right.
So in that case, it's very hard for people.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't speak to that for some, because I have no idea. I don't know how you would handle that other than to still try to work together in whatever way you could as a married couple to make it manageable.
God ordains marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And he does all that he can. When a couple is married and they value their covenant with each other and with him, God will do everything he can to protect that covenant and cover it. Mm. And that includes the children. Mm. The problem is we aren't honoring, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but most of the time in that situation, they aren't honoring their covenant with their husband, nor are they honoring their covenant with God. Right. So now they're faced with trying to take on the world by themselves, and they're expecting the arm of flesh to save them because they aren't honoring the covenant of God. I truly believe if someone had children, and I haven't been in the situation, so I can't say for sure, but I know God's mercy and his grace, right? And I believe if you were in that situation with children, honoring your covenant, honoring with God and your husband, trying to do all you could, that God would make a way and he would help through all of that, and that you would be able to do it. You would be able to do it well, right? I don't think you would just make it. I believe God would help you do it well.
Yeah.
And bless the children through it, Yeah. And really there's value in seeing your parents stay together. We're in so much of a broken world. And I came from a family where nobody stayed married. Nobody stayed married. Mm-hmm. And then I meet my husband, and his family, like his parents were married 40-something years before his mom passed, and aunts and uncles married 40, 50 years, and, all these things, that the children see that. The children see the example of the parents. Even if he's in prison, the children are seeing the example of loyalty, of faith, of endurance, and they watch their mom and their dad, regardless of where he is or she is, relying solely on God and honoring the covenant and walking in integrity, that they're going to be better people for it. Mm-hmm. But when they're broken, when they're looking to an example of brokenness and struggling and chaos, they're gonna live chaos.
Yeah.
And you're gonna struggle more. Mm-hmm. I just really believe that.
I agree.
So it is hard to speak of it because we don't know. We're not in that situation, but So where have you seen God show up the most in this journey?
There's been a couple of moments. One of the first moments was the day my husband got sentenced. I prayed in the car with him and his mom before, and we were sitting there, and when they sentenced him to 25 years. There was like a peace on me. I can't explain it to people. I felt peace. Everyone around me, because he had a lot of support from his family and mine, we're all there. And they're crying. And I just remember sitting there almost as if I didn't hear it. And I was like, why is everyone crying? Not like that, but I just felt so at peace that I was like, what's wrong? It's going to be okay. That's how it felt in the moment. And it sounds weird when I say it to people, but it truly was. I really feel it was the Holy Spirit over me, like keeping me calm.
Just right? Covering you.
Yeah. And so afterwards, my sister came to me and she goes, how are you okay? Like, how are you not... She was bawling her eyes out and she was like, how are you okay? How are you not just crying right now? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be okay. You know, that's
a supernatural peace from God.
It was the most amazing peace I've ever felt in my life. It's the only time I can remember it happening, especially on that level. And then fast forward a few years, and I'm on the phone with my husband, and I can hear something in the background. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's in his cell and in the common space area. I can't tell if it's singing or what, but I can just hear something. And I was like, what's going on out there? And he goes, oh, they're doing praise and worship out there. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, you want to hear him? And I was like, yeah. And so he walks out of his cell and lets me hear. And it is, I don't know how many men, but nothing hits you like this. I get emotional every time I think about it. All I can hear is a group of men in prison singing This Little Light of Mine. You know? That's amazing.
It's amazing.
And I just remember being like, that was the most beautiful thing. And he's like, yeah, I stepped out to call you real quick. And that was something my husband was part of. That was something my husband, since being in, has been a part of building at every facility he's been at.
It's amazing.
And what he's continuing school for, so that even when he comes home, he can continue that. He wants to be able to go into the juvie system, into the prison system, and help those men
find God.
Yeah. And those were very big moments in my life since it all happened.
Well, and I've known you a few years now, and I remember just a couple of the little things here and there that we've shared together. You've told me some pretty amazing stories, how God just kind of shows up and makes things happen, with like Bible studies and teachers. Like somebody was going to leave and they stayed because of your husband or something, and I don't know, just really cool things that you've shared. And I'm like, it's amazing. You know, God is working in there as much as he's working anywhere else. He loves them as much as he loves anyone else.
Yeah. And to think about, like, those men are very strong men, especially when they're turning away from their old life. And they have to have a very strong will, very strong faith to stay on the path.
But I think God shows up
100% every day.
Makes it. I don't want to say easier, right? But when you know that God's going to show up, it does make it easier to stay.
Yeah. I have to say, there are hard days, but there are more easy days than there are hard at this point. In the sense that, you know, I pray every day. My relationship with God has grown also in this. I stopped going to church for the longest time. Now I'm going back to church. You know, have been for quite some time. I read my Bible. I talk to God every day. there was a time I didn't have that relationship, and it wasn't based on God. It was honestly based on growing up in people and in the church life. Some people not living up to the standard in which they held others to. So I had walked away
kind of
a lot
the
of time
hypocrisy almost, or having that church hurt.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I was one of them. You grow up seeing broken people trying to make it, and you're holding the standard of God based on what their example is.
Yeah.
And we can't do that.
No.
But it happens naturally.
Yeah.
And it isn't until we start realizing, okay, we can't rely on man. We have to rely on God.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine facing this world now without God.
Yeah.
Just in my everyday, and I am very blessed, right? I have, God has blessed me so much in this life, but we still struggle. And I'm like, man, I can't even imagine going through life without God. And then I shift to what you're facing, or I shift what your husband and those people that are in that situation are facing. And it's almost, it would be unbearable without God.
Yeah. I get asked that. How do you do it? How do you do it? And it's like, God, 100%. And it's, it's just part of my life now. Until he comes home. This is just how my life is now. And I can accept it, or I don't. And I choose to accept.
Yeah.
And
God is sustaining you through it.
Yeah. Definitely. There's no way.
Sustaining both of you.
Yeah. And I see it, I hear it every time I talk to my husband on the phone and he tells me about his day.
And it's not like there's not because I hear your story and I naturally feel, I don't want to say sympathy, right? But like, I feel an anguish for you, right? But it's not like this, with your husband. No, you guys are like, you're not like, oh, baby. Right? Yeah. No, you guys are like a loving couple who are, you guys have a healthy, normal relationship with a healthy, normal conversations. And, it doesn't change. It doesn't change the dynamic of your relationship. You still have a beautiful friendship, and conversations are still, there's joy and there's love and there's goodness, and
we still argue and have our moments. Yeah, it's all still the same.
Yeah. Which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that God's making it happen, and God's sustaining you. The Lord told me, I will sustain you. This was probably 2 years ago, and my word for the year was sustain.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought sustain was just, I'll, barely getting by. And when I looked up the definition of sustain in like the 1828 dictionary, the true definition of sustain, it is to be provided for and taken care of at the highest level. And that's what God wants for us. He doesn't want us to just barely be making it. He wants to sustain us in a way that we can make it through this situation in the highest level. So he will bless you with whatever it is you need, the peace, the finances, the tender mercies, the joy, whatever it is. And that's for all of us. For all of us is what God wants.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone that's walking through a similar situation, who's feeling overwhelmed or alone?
That's a hard one, because everyone's situation's a little different, right? I am a very stubborn person, and when I make my mind up to do something, it's very hard to move me from my path, right? And a lot of people aren't like that.
But what if someone wants to be like that? And they're facing what you're...
Well, I mean, I didn't used to be that way. So, honestly, hardship is what builds the character in you to stand on your own and to build that strength to do that. I would just say to embrace the hard times and see them as character building moments. I don't really know in regards what to say to that specifically. I can only say how my own journey has given me a backbone that I didn't have before. And it's also just, especially when you know what you're doing is the right thing, don't back down. Don't let others talk you out of it. Whatever it is, Sometimes the right thing is the uncomfortable thing, standing alone and not standing with society or the world around you.
Yeah. Well, God's way a lot of the time isn't the
that.
comfortable way.
Right. Is that.
And when you're doing, oftentimes when we are doing what we know God wants us to do, it's not the easy way. It's not the comfortable way. And it does take us outside of our comfort zone. It stretches us. See, God wants to build us and make us better. And you were talking about how you didn't always used to be that way. You've grown. God has grown you in this. Yeah. He's grown your husband in this. You guys are making impacts. Your husband is making impacts towards men every day in bringing them to God and trying to make them better.
Yeah.
And so he has to take us out of our comfort zone to do that. Mm-hmm. And as long as we're aligned with the Lord and we know it's His will, because you had peace, an undescribable, supernatural peace.
Yeah.
You knew you were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And when you know you're doing the right thing, you just keep moving forward with God.
And I think, honestly, whatever that peace was has always been a part of me since it happened. I've always had a sense of peace in regards to my husband being where he's at, no matter where he's at, even though there were times I worried and all of that. It carried on, and I still feel it to this day. Honestly, I don't think it ever left me. I think it was a gift from God that He gave me to help sustain me through, honestly. And it's because when my husband was at certain places, we would hear about things happening. And of course, if I didn't hear from my husband for a few days because they were on lockdown or something, you get nervous and worried about it. But I can't really say that there was ever a time that I was truly scared that something had happened to my husband, and that's why I wasn't hearing from him.
You knew he was covered too.
I always had a sense that I always felt like he was okay. Even if I did kind of worry, I always felt like he was going to be okay. It went back to that. It's going to be okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
God is your source.
He really is.
He is your source and your strength and your foundation. Everything God promises and the word for us when we are facing something is literally being lived out in you right now.
Yeah.
And that is so beautiful. He keeps His promises.
Yep.
Keeps His promises.
Definitely does that.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being vulnerable and being willing to open up and share some of these things. Maybe sharing things people would be nervous to ask about, but also sharing things that people, they don't have anywhere to go for that support or the advice and the wisdom. So I thank you for being willing to share that.
Thank you.
And the thing that I can just see that I want to just encourage everyone listening is watching watching Laura It helps us to see there's always hope. There's always hope, and God will be your foundation if we just turn to him and let him be our rock.
Yeah.
That he will be our source. He will flow water from the rock, just like he did for the Israelites in the desert. So even if we are in a desert, even if you are in a desert, he will be your rock, your foundation, and your living water. And he will sustain you at the highest level.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you again. I love you so much.
And
I love you guys. Thank you for listening and being with us today.